Hello everyone, I am coming to you from my hotel room in Rochester, New York. Like I said, there was no live stream this weekend, there were no videos. I've been light on Twitter posts as well because I've been super busy with the long road trip and various other things going on. But it has been a fun weekend, and I did want to get this video out to you guys to talk about certain things that have been going on in pro wrestling this week. Mainly, the seemingly imminent in-ring return of Shawn Michaels, and a review of Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor 16, which happened Friday night. So I did want to get that out to you guys. Please excuse the way I'm dressed. I am just a few short hours away from heading to a wedding, and you know, when you go to a wedding, you gotta look your best. And the suit is brand new, and when you're a wrestling fan, and you get a new suit, what's the first thing you want to do with it? You kind of want to act like Ric Flair, don't you? You just kind of want to do the Nature Boy strut. You kind of want to do all that stuff, you know. You kind of want to get drunk and cut Ric Flair promos right there on the dance floor of her wedding reception, get kicked out, all that other fun stuff, you know. Kind of want to go to a strip club and just light the place on fire, all that other fun stuff. I don't have the greatest Ric Flair impression in the world, but when you've got enough liquid courage, you don't even really care. You just kind of start talking like the Nature Boy, or at least how it sounds in your head. You start saying, it's like, to be the man, you gotta beat the man. You gotta walk that aisle and come face to face with me, the wheelin' dealin', kiss stealin', limousine riding, Learjet flying, whoa, fish frying, scotch drinking, Jack and Jill go up the hillin', son of a gun, whoa! But I'm not going to do anything like that. That would be stupid. Got to resist your nerdy impulses to act like Ric Flair inside of a fancy suit. So, while I've got a little bit of free time on my hands, I figured I would knock this video out, get it to you guys. Before I do any of that, typically with my live streams, I do a weekly review of all the wrestling shows I saw this week. This week, I managed to watch NXT, Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, and Impact Wrestling, which is my typical rotation. Raw and SmackDown, as most of you know, most of you who follow my channel, don't even bother with it anymore, because why get upset? NXT this week was solid, not remarkable. Basically just a bunch of matches to kind of set things up for the future. Tommaso Ciampa had a match against Djokovic. Lars Sullivan continues to look strong. He's obviously going to be working with EC3 in the near future. So as like a setup show and just having basic matches to make guys look good, it was fine for what it was. Didn't really advance anything, didn't really accomplish much, but we do have a few matches to look forward to. Mainly Adam Cole will be facing both Pete Dunne and Ricochet for the North American Championship in a triple threat match, based on how the champion versus champion match ended the week before. And we're also going to be getting an NXT Tag Team title match as the other members of the Undisputed Era defend the gold against the War Raiders. I'm surprised that they're not saving these matches for TakeOver, actually, because those sound like great matches they have on a big show. But in any case, I thought the show was overall solid. Not one of NXT's like more memorable efforts, but again, as a bridge show to get to things that are bigger down the road, I thought it was fine. Ring of Honor, which was another show I actually attended a few weeks ago back in Philly. Really good episode. I thought was like one of the better Ring of Honor episodes in their weekly format that I've seen. What with the Kenny King versus Adam Hangman Page match, which might be the best match I've ever seen Kenny King have. And it was one of the better matches I saw live during that TV taping. Very, very good stuff all around from both guys. And the main event, which was Bully Ray and Dalton Castle versus Jay Lethal and Jonathan Grisham, I thought that was also a very good tag match and one of the better matches from the taping. So you got a pretty good show out of Ring of Honor this week, I thought. Really solid. And again, it was nice to have it confirmed that it was solid after being there in person, then watching it again. So yeah, those matches were good. I do remember enjoying those matches. Impact Wrestling was kind of a nothing show this week. This was their second week in Mexico. And the first week was fun. The second week, maybe the novelty kind of wore off a little bit. And, you know, we're heading into Bound for Glory, and it feels like they're kind of in cruise control mode, where it's just like, we're just going to hang around in Mexico for a while until we head off to New York City to do Bound for Glory. Yeah, that's pretty much all it was. Again, they did some matches, kind of made guys look good, like LAX and OVE and various other things. But the Lucha Brothers versus OVE feud continues to be one of the highlights of the show. Scarlett Bordeaux made an announcement that she's going to be doing a talent search to attach herself to some talent. Hopefully that means she's going to be in the arena for a change, because it's like, how do you have that smoking hot babe whose gimmick is to be smoking hot, you don't put her in front of the live crowd. That seems like just a complete waste of the gimmick and the talent, but that's literally like what she's there for, to look hot, and they never put her in front of the audience. So it's like, come on guys, let's just make some magic happen here. Come on, put me in, coach, I'm ready. So yeah, I thought this week's show was fairly forgettable, but again, we are getting some matches set up for Bound for Glory. We're getting Tessa Blanchard, she's going to be defending the Knockouts title against Taya Valkyrie. That should be a good match, even if the feud's a bit rushed. The tag team main event this week, it was Mundo and Eddie Edwards. I keep calling him Johnny Mundo. He's Johnny Impact on Impact Wrestling, but it was them versus Killer Kross and Moose, where the heels actually won, which was a fairly nice surprise, but the match itself wasn't that great, so I was like, whatever. So Impact, kind of a dull show this week, nothing to really write home about. And finally, we had Lucha Underground, which was their big follow-up to Marty the Moth Martinez winning the Lucha Underground Championship last week. And now we're heading into Ultima Lucha build, which feels like a little fast. I can't believe Ultima Lucha 4 is already almost... Well, Ultima Lucha Quattro, sorry. Gotta be proper there. I can't believe it's already almost here, but I'll have more to say about that when I do like an end-of-the-season review of Lucha Underground. But we're heading into Ultima Lucha. We've got Mac versus Mil Muertes in a death match set up, which is good. Their Haunted House match was good, so I think them getting a rematch at Ultima Lucha should be cool. It looks like we're going to be getting Phoenix versus El Dragon Azteca, which should be good. We're getting, even though they didn't further the build on this episode, I know we're probably going to get Killshot versus Son of Havoc in some capacity. I think they're having a match next week, but they'll probably have a rematch at Ultima Lucha, my guess. What else did they do this week? I'm trying to remember everything. Oh, they introduced the new Rabbit Tribe with Killer Kross and El Bunny joining Paul London. So we've got like a new Rabbit Tribe, and they're like sicker and more sadistic, and they went after Evilise, Joey Ryan, and Exolicious. So it looks like we're probably going to be getting the Reptile Tribe, the Rabbit Tribe, and this weirdo team of Joey Ryan, Evilise, and Exolicious all in like a trios title match, which I guess I'm okay with. I don't think Exo, Evie, and Joey Ryan quite have the same chemistry that Havoc and Helico and Evilise did in Season 1. Again, I'll talk about that more when I review the season as a whole once it's over. But I think they're trying to recreate that same charm and magic, and it's not quite there. But again, we'll see how everything plays out heading into Ultima Lucha. And Pentagon won the 4-way match on this episode and will be challenging Marty the Moth Martinez for the Lucha Underground title at Ultima Lucha. So we have that to look forward to. So, yeah, they're setting up some good things. And probably the main highlight of the week was Jake Strong versus Drago and Aerostar in a 2-on-1 nunchuck match, which was kind of bonkers. And they went all over the temple and did some cool spots like Aerostar stacked Drago on top of him, and Drago spit the mist in Jake Strong's face. Really good. Great showcase for Jake Strong. He's better when they showcase him as a giant. In the world of Lucha Underground, he looks so much bigger than everybody else, so it's only natural that he gets pushed that way. And as long as he doesn't speak, it should be okay. Because, you know, that was always Jack Swagger's weakest part in the WWE. It's like, dude, don't ever let that dude speak, because he sounds like a lisping cartoon character. I know I sound like a cartoon character, but I'm also not a professional wrestler that needs to get over with the audience, and I don't rely on my YouTube channels for a living, so it's kind of like, there's a difference there. But, yeah, I thought this week's Lucha Underground was a good, solid episode, and again, it furthers to build Ultimate Lucha, so I was okay with it. So, good stuff there. So, now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about Shawn Michaels, who, by all indications, is returning to the ring at the next Saudi Arabia show, Crown Jewel. The rumored match is that Shawn Michaels is going to be teaming up with Triple H to take on the Brothers of Destruction, The Undertaker and Kane, something that feels like a huge time capsule match from 1997. You know, now that I think about it, this probably could or should have been the main event to the December 97 pay-per-view, Degeneration X, because Undertaker and Kane had that reconciliation building into the Royal Rumble, and that obviously turned out to be a ruse as Kane just turned on Undertaker at his first chance. But now that I think about it, it's like, you know, they probably could have done DX versus the Brothers of Destruction at the December 97 pay-per-view. They didn't, but whatever. So let's call this match 11 years too late. Now, you know, Kane's a mayor. Undertaker, I've been screaming to retire for years and years. Triple H, believe it or not, as hard as I've been on Triple H over the years, he's the only one that I feel like has any business being in the ring at this point. He's still in reasonably good shape and still a reasonably good worker. Shawn Michaels is a bit more of a question mark. We don't really know what we're going to get from him, and he might be really good. I don't know what Shawn's been doing with himself since he retired almost a decade ago, or over a decade ago, right? Close to a decade ago. When was Mania 26? I don't remember the exact. In 2010. So, okay, let's say over 8.5 years. Let's say that. I don't know what he's been doing with himself. I don't know what type of shape he's in. I don't know what his training regimen is. I don't know what to expect out of Shawn. There's a huge question mark there. But, you know, his retirement, it came and went. And this kind of, like, if they go ahead and do this match to me, that kind of cheapens it. It's like, oh, okay. So, I mean, we said goodbye to Shawn, and we were all kind of fine with it. We never really got to see him diminish that much. If Shawn diminished as a worker before his retirement, it was in microscopic ways that you would need a friggin' high-powered microscope to see. Like on a subatomic level. Like, that's how little Shawn diminished over the years. So, to see him walk out still, like, at a high caliber, you know, talent, you know, Shawn was still pretty much just as good as he ever was. So, him coming back kind of raises those red flags. It's like, is Shawn gonna ruin it? I don't know. Because you never want to see your favorites diminish. One thing that completely broke my heart was when, you know, Bret Hart, it was sad the way his career ended, and it sucked how it happened, but at least I could say, well, at least I never saw Bret diminish. Like, by the time he was forced out due to that injury at the hands of Goldberg, at least Bret pretty much looked as good as he ever did. He never really, truly diminished. Then he came back, and we had that match with Vince. And then he had that match with The Miz where he couldn't take any bumps and they had to book everything in the world to have Bret go over. And it was just like, this is so depressing that this is what Bret Hart has turned into now, because he used to be like the man, right, as far as work rate goes. And now it's just like somebody that they have to book around to have good matches based on his high number of limitations. And that just depressed me more than anything else. And people said, oh, it was a feel-good moment that he won the U.S. title. I'm like, just made me sad, because he's not the Bret of old. He's not the Bret I remember. And, that makes it sad. But then you have other cases like Ricky Steamboat, where he came back for those few short matches. Like, oh my God, Ricky looks fucking great. So, again, you don't know what you're going to get. Now, my major opposition to this is that there's talks that after they do this tag match, they're going to do Shawn versus Undertaker again, either at WrestleMania or at Survivor Series. I've heard those floating around as a potential retirement match for both men. Now, if they're going to bring Shawn back, again, I don't know what type of shape he's in. Maybe he's just as good as he ever was. Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. I'm probably still not going to check out the Saudi Arabia show, just because it's like, I don't need to see Shawn. I think I'm okay. But anyway, if he's just as good as ever, to me, I kind of feel like, okay, can we get some matches that we've never seen before? Can we get something like, can we get Shawn versus Kevin Owens? Or can we get Shawn versus Seth Rollins? Or can we get Shawn versus AJ Styles? Or Shawn versus Samoa Joe? Or Shawn versus Daniel Bryan? Or those matches that we've never seen before and thought we would never see? Can we get those matches? Because him just working with Undertaker again, I'm just like, we've been there, we've done that. It was great. In 97, it was one of the best feuds of 97. It had one of the greatest matches of all time in the Hell in a Cell. I would even argue that their Hell in a Cell match might be my number one favorite match of all time, as far as like a perfectly told, well-constructed story from bell to bell. That match might be the greatest match of all time. And, you know, their WrestleMania matches were very well received. I like their Ground Zero match. I think the weakest match they had with each other was the casket match at the Royal Rumble, and that one was still probably one of the best casket matches ever. I would say that's been supplanted by Mil Muertes and Phoenix and Lucha Underground with the Grave Consequences match. But as far as WWF is concerned, that was probably the best casket match I've ever seen. And, you know, even their ending at the Royal Rumble 2000 was like a match of the year onto itself, like a self-contained like match of the year. So, look, I'm not saying that Undertaker and Shawn haven't done great work with each other. They have. It's one of the best pairings of all time because they have such a natural chemistry with each other, especially when Shawn's the heel. I mean, that DX cowardly prick Shawn Michaels in 97 up against the horror movie villain Undertaker. I mean, Jesus. I mean, that was like, they practically wrote itself, and that's why the Hell in a Cell was so perfect, because it was basically Shawn trying to run away the whole time. And that's why it was one of the best constructed stories in the history of wrestling. But my point is, I've seen it. We've been there. We've done that. Can we see something new? Can we see something different? Could you put something together that's fresh, new, exciting, and can really get me to like, oh, you're putting Shawn in there with Daniel Bryan? Two guys that a year ago I thought would never wrestle again? Okay, let's do that. Oh, you want to have Shawn work with Kevin Owens, who's like this big brute that bullies people and injures people, and now he's done it to Shawn Michaels. Now Shawn wants to return to the ring and face him at WrestleMania or something like that. Cool, let's do that. Let's do something like that. But by doing The Undertaker again, it's just like, well, you're just spinning your wheels. And can they match what they did even as far back as like WrestleManias 25 and 26? I have my doubts. Because I've seen, again, Shawn Michaels is a huge question mark, but Taker, I've seen what he looks like, and I'm like, I don't think we're going to match that, what you did at 25. And if Shawn is able to get an amazing match out of Taker at this point, it's like he truly is the greatest worker of all time, because Undertaker looks like a bag of shit these days. I'm sorry, he does. I've been watching the dude the last, 5-6 years, or however long it's been, and he don't look great. So... But even if Taker didn't look like a bucket of shit, I've seen this match already. And it's even dumber to do that in the age of the WWE Network, where I can literally pull up all their old matches. And it's right there at my fingertips. It's like, why would I want to waste time out of my day to watch a new Undertaker-Shawn Michaels match that they're doing purely for nostalgia and no other reason? It's not like they have the hottest storyline in the world. It's not like... we'll use another Shawn Michaels example. It's not like, okay, they did Jericho and Michaels in 2003, and then they brought it again 5 years later in 2008, but they turned it into a really hot angle. It's like, all right, yeah, you're kind of doing the same thing again, but with completely different circumstances, and the matches have gotten better overall. So it's like, okay, I can go with this. I'll go, even though I'd seen it already. I'm like, it feels new. It feels different. I don't think they're going to do that here. I think they're just going to sell it purely on nostalgia and nothing else. Maybe on Undertaker's retirement, if this truly is. Again, when Taker retires, I'll believe it when I see it. But it's just not interesting to me. It's just not a pairing that I can get overly excited about, because I can watch it anytime I want with the other 5 or 6 pay-per-view matches that they've had with each other, and I've lost any and all interest in watching Undertaker wrestle these days. So I'm just not excited for it. And if they're gonna bring Shawn Michaels back just to have him work with Undertaker again, it's like, feels like a waste. I'd rather see something new, something different, and rather see somebody get elevated through working with a star like Shawn Michaels. I mean, even I could say the same thing about Undertaker. Even though Undertaker looks like crap, they put him in there with Braun Strowman and have Strowman beat him. That does a lot for Strowman, that he has that win over Undertaker under his belt. But they don't want to do anything like that. They'd probably have Taker go over Strowman just to fuck us all. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say about that. Shawn Michaels' in-ring return is not enough to get me to want to watch the next Saudi Arabia show, but if they brought Shawn back and gave him a really hot program with a fresh pairing that I'd never seen before, I'd be like, okay, I'm on board. But if they're just going to have him work with Undertaker again, I'm just like, all right, it is what it is. But anyway, so that's enough Shawn Michaels talk. We'll know more as things are announced and we get closer and closer to the Saudi show and then the Survivor Series and WrestleMania and various other things. So I'll have more to say when we get closer to those events. Now, one last thing before I go. I did want to review Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor 16. Saw it yesterday. I didn't see it the night of the show. I gotta be honest, I was a little disappointed in the show. I was actually really disappointed. It was kind of a flat show. The Vegas crowd was surprisingly muted and stunted and not very excited throughout the show. The show didn't have a great atmosphere, which is something that Ring of Honor had been touting pretty much all year round. I mean, Best of the World atmosphere was great. I was there. Even though, All In, even though that's technically not a Ring of Honor show, was a Ring of Honor-like show with a lot of the same talents, and that had an amazing atmosphere. This was just kind of like, oh, okay. Bunch of and I heard the attendance wasn't that great either, which is also might be why that's the case. But Yeah, a lot of the matches on the undercard just really fell flat. The opening match was Liger versus Kenny King. Kenny King got the win and is like starting his heel turn where he's becoming more aggressive and cheating more and various other things. He was saying like, "Thank you, Austin Aries. I get it now," as he was leaving the match after winning. It was a very dull opener and probably went about twice as long as it needed to because again, it's just a very basic like Kenny King turns heel and acts like a dick, and that's really all you need. You didn't need like 12 minutes or however long they gave the match. It's like, yeah, probably could have wrapped that up in a hot 5 and move us right along. Second match was a huge disappointment. The Briscoe brothers versus The Addiction for the Ring of Honor tag titles. For as long as they've been building this match up, I thought they were going to have a killer match, and they tore it down on the pre-show of All In a non-title situation. I was like, oh my god, these guys, all right, here we are. We're finally getting the title match between these two teams, and it was very flat. Again, the crowd wasn't reacting to a lot of things, so the match had no like passion or energy behind it. It just felt like 4 guys doing their moves, and that was about it. And it was a very unremarkable match because of it. So yeah, surprisingly dull. Briscoe's retained, which I guess I'm okay with, but it was still like just a huge disappointment considering how long they've been building this match up. Then we got the Women of Honor Championship, Sumi Sakai versus Tennille Dashwood, a match that I think a lot of people thought would be a really good Women of Honor title match. It wasn't. It kind of suffered from the same problem that the previous match did, where the crowd wasn't really reacting to it, and so it just felt like 2 people doing their moves without any passion or energy behind it, and there was no real heat for the match. And again, it's a babyface match where neither babyface is necessarily that hot. Like I've said it before, Sumi Sakai is not that great of a champion. It feels like they're trying to create their own version of Asuka, but she doesn't have the mystique or the charisma of Asuka, so she just feels like a person that's holding the belt. And this match kind of fell flat for me. It was just kind of, again, it was just another match on the show where I was like, okay. Sumi Sakai won by causing Tennille Dashwood to pass out while in the cross arm breaker, which that felt like she passed out from that. I was like, I would have thought she'd have tapped, and that would have been fine. I mean, nobody's going to think less of Tennille Dashwood if she taps. I think a lot of people think that they would, but in this case, I just kind of feel like, you can just have her tap. But having her pass out just seems weird mechanically. But in any case, Tennille Dashwood was attacked later in the show by a mysterious attacker, an angle that I feel like I'm seeing a lot of in various companies, because Impact just did it to introduce Killer Kross. NXT's doing it right now with Aleister Black and who attacked him. And now we have this mysterious attacker who went after Tennille Dashwood, and we don't know why. So it's becoming a very repetitive angle I'm seeing in pro wrestling. Didn't Raw or SmackDown do something like that recently? I don't know. I haven't been watching. But anyway, nix that. So then we moved on to the TV title match, Chris Sabin challenging Punishment Martinez. Kind of felt like a squash match for Martinez, which isn't necessarily a bad thing since, he's supposed to be a monster and everything, and he's going up against a guy half his size. Match was okay, probably the best match so far. What I really popped for was the post-match where Jeff Cobb came out and stared down Punishment Martinez and showed that he's just as physically dominant, if not more so, than Punishment Martinez is. And we have that match to look forward to in the near future. I did catch a quick spoiler on what's going to happen with the TV title situation. I don't want to give it away here. But if this match accomplished nothing else, it did kind of make me want to see a Punishment Martinez versus Jeff Cobb match. So mission accomplished there. And then we get to the tables match, and oh my goodness gracious. This match was actually like the match of the night. It was Colt Cabana and Flip Gordon against Bully Ray and Silas Young. And it seemed to have the most heat on the entire show. And again, I feel like they've done an effective job of making Bully Ray like this ultra heel, and Silas Young is great. I think is massively underrated as a guy. Again, the thing I like most about him is that he's not focused on doing fancy moves. He's not focused on trying to get the star ratings. He's a guy who's like, look, I just want the fans to hate me. That's his number one goal. I want the fans to hate me, and he succeeds at that, and good on him for doing it. And he's an interesting character because of it. So the match setup looked like it was going to be the match of the night, and it had the most heat. You even got the brief bit where Ian Riccaboni came down from the announce position to kind of get involved and get in Bully's face and help out Colt and various other things. So it had a lot of heat and seemed to be going pretty well. You did have that one spot where Colt Cabana got powerbombed through the table, and part of the other side of the arena started chanting, "Move the table." I was like, what do you mean, move the table? And I looked in the ring, and there was like a table on its side that was laid down in the corner, and it was obstructing that side of the arena's view from seeing Colt get powerbombed through the table. So they missed the spot, and it's like, oh... That's bad. That's bad. And that's one of those things I don't understand why. And again, I know Ring of Honor's in a smaller venue, but you have the video screen. Just put the match up on the video screen. So if something's happening that's out of our view range, we get to see it. You know, it's... And a lot of companies, like TNA does it too. Impact does it too. And I'm just like, dude, just put it on a video wall so we can see what's going on. But in any case, it is what it is. But what really took this match down, because it looked like Flip Gordon had won. He put Bully through the table, and then he put Silas through the table. It's like, okay. I was ready to call this, like, all right, that was a pretty solid, entertaining, you know, gaga match, if nothing else. And it was fun for what it was. And then they did the finish, where Flip Gordon put Silas through the table to win the match. But the referee took a bump and didn't see it. And then Bully Ray got up, like powerbomb Flip or something, and then pulled Silas out of the wreckage of the table and then laid Flip Gordon down like Flip had gone through the table. Referee looks up, sees Flip later out in the wreckage, and then calls for the bell saying that the heels had won. And I'm just like, wait a minute. So the first table bump didn't count because the ref didn't see it. But he turns around and he sees Flip laid out on the table, and that counts even though he didn't see Flip go through the table. And it's like, that's one of those finishes where it puts more heat. And I'm not the one that said this. I saw this line in the PW Torch review, and I think it's fairly accurate. It puts more heat on the referee than it does the heel because it makes the referee look like a complete dumbass. And that ending just killed the whole thing. And I was like, oh, that match was fun, and then you just had to ruin the whole thing with like a dumbass finish. I don't mind the heels going over. I don't mind Bully going over. It was just kind of like that finish was just dumb. And it's like just a dumb finish. And, you know, it's dusty finish. one of those type of silly things. But, yeah, so that sucked the fun out of that. And then finally we got the double main event, which kind of sort of elevated the show a little bit. The 10-man tag of Chaos, Kazuchika Okada, Rocky Romero, the Best Friends, and Tomohiro Ishii taking on the Bullet Club Elite, Cody, Hangman Page, the Bucks, and Marty Scurll in a 10-man tag. Really fun match. Not like this outstanding must-see match or anything, but as a showcase for so many great talents, like the Bullet Club Elite, like the Codys and the Bucks, and Marty Scurll and Hangman, and then like guys like Okada and Tomohiro Ishii. And got some interesting pairings out of it. It was overall just a fun, wild and crazy match with a bunch of moving parts and components. So overall, I did enjoy that match. I thought it was good. Pretty good. And we also got Nick Aldis on commentary to set up his 2 out of 3 falls match for the NWA title against the champion Cody, which, by the way, it was great seeing Cody with that belt, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. They will be having their next match at the 70th anniversary show for NWA, which is cool. I was like, all right, I might check that show out now, because that's a rematch I wouldn't mind seeing, especially in a 2 out of 3 falls format. Kind of gives it more of an old school feel to it. So all good stuff, and I enjoyed this match for what it was. It was easily the best match of the show so far. May have even been the match of the night, but the other contender for match of the night was the main event. Will Ospreay challenging Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor World title in what was a pretty good match, not a great match. Again, I think the muted crowd, the subdued crowd kind of hurt it. But overall, it was pretty solid. They did some pretty cool spots in there, and Ospreay and Lethal are just two of the best talents out there today. So you put them in the ring together, it's not going to be bad. And this wasn't bad at all. This was actually pretty darn good, and may have even been match of the night. So at the very least, at least the last 2 matches were good. And then we ended with Matt Taven and the Kingdom. Matt Taven sporting a spiffy new haircut, coming down and making his intentions known that he's going after and targeting Jay Lethal. And he actually pulled out a facsimile of the Ring of Honor World title belt with a purple strap, saying that he was the true Ring of Honor champion. I'm like, ooh, okay, we'll see where this goes. So it looks like Lethal has a heel with a heel faction to deal with in the near future, which that's cool. I'm always a fan of that. And that concluded the show. So kind of, I was fully prepared to give this a bad review before the double main event. And the double main event was good enough to kind of make me go, Do I want to give it a C or do I want to give it a D? Because the last 2 matches were good. I don't know if they were good enough to kind of make the entire show worth going out of your way to see. So this was the weakest Ring of Honor pay-per-view outing I've seen all year. I'm going to give it a D because I expect better out of them. It's like, Ring of Honor, you're better than that. I know you can do better than that. And maybe Vegas just isn't the right venue for them to go to because, again, the crowd not having a whole lot of passion and energy really kind of hurt the show as a whole. But, I don't want to blame it all on the crowd, though, because, they had matches that should have worked, like the tag title match and, like, the tables match, which they kind of botched on their own, especially the tables match, where they kind of booked that one into oblivion. But at least the last 2 matches were good. So if you are going to check out the show, I say just skip to the last 2 matches and you'll see everything we're seeing on the show. So, fairly weak pay-per-view effort from Ring of Honor this time around. Hopefully they do better in the future because, I've been enjoying their product in 2018, and that was like kind of a downer show. It was like, I was hoping for something better than that, but whatever, it happens. It happens to the best of us. Not all shows can be a winner. So, those are my thoughts on Death Before Dishonor. I have a wedding to get to, so I'm about done here. So hopefully you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy watching football or doing whatever the hell else it is you do on your Sundays. Again, I got to go watch 2 people get hitched, so I'm out of here. I will be back to making videos next week. But again, until next time, guys, I'll see you all later.